Good morning. Good morning. At the earlier time of 9:30, my name is Rumbi, and this is Immigration Fridays. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for joining. Great. Please share this link and tag someone. I hope you can hear me. Thank you, Munya, for joining. Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning. I'm going to be here for about half an hour and just answering some common questions that we've been getting. UK immigration questions. And just updating on some of the things which we find as common questions that we are receiving. So my name is Rumbi Vunzawabaya, and I am from an organization called Tulia. Tulia means to settle. To settle, kugarika in Shona. To settle in Tulia is Swahili. So we support migrants from all countries all over the world who are settling in the United Kingdom, who are coming here for work, who are coming here to seek refuge, who are coming here to join families. So we are passionate about immigrants because of our lived experience. So our team is people who are either first-generation migrants like myself or second-generation migrants who have come here because their parents came here, they followed, or they were born here. So we all have a lived experience of the immigration system. We know how tough it is. We know the impact that it has on people and families being separated. So it's not just that we do the legal work. We support migrants in a holistic manner. So we support people to settle. That's why we used the name Tulia, which is an all-encompassing word, which is mind, body, soul, and spirit. And so we deal with the immigration legal first as our entry point, but there's other things that come. And today, I'm talking about spouse visas and marriages and how the law can impact those, how we are seeing a lot of questions from people who are coming to the UK with their spouses, husbands and wives, and so the relationships break down. And then people want to understand how that affects their visa status. And it's different things for different groups of people because people come to join their spouses for many different reasons. So there's people who are working, who are skilled workers, carers, nurses, social workers, accountants, architects, builders, teachers, so many groups of people who come here to work. They can bring their spouses. Then there's those people who have got indefinite leave to remain or refugee status or who are British citizens. And they then bring their spouses from their countries of origin. So there's different rules for different groups of people. And because we are in the era of Google, I know that people will Google things and give each other advice and stuff like that. And sometimes it can go horribly wrong because you can end up getting the wrong advice for the wrong category, do the wrong things, and wanyura. You can sink, or you can, things can go wrong. And then That's when we come in usually, when things have gone wrong. So one of the things that we do at Tulia is to try and prevent things going wrong. And how do we prevent that? It's by giving information. Because we can never deal with every single person. There's no way. But we can pass on information to people. Information that is true, information that is credible, information that is tried, tested, and from experience. So that is why we do these Immigration Fridays. That's the only reason, is to bring out information which is credible, which can help someone so that they don't mess up on their status or mess up things. So good morning, and thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to talk about marriage and the visas and everything that comes with that. So I'll start with the most common one, where we've got one thing I want to say before I even start is I just want to warn people against this issue of marriages of convenience. You know, there's trends that happen where people do things which are illegal, and people can actually, I'm going to speak in Shona because it's easier for me to express myself, because when I speak in English, I have to translate first. So anyway, so Tino Jaira, isn't it? Tino Jaira, we start to normalize, to normalize as right? And so when we like panita ma trends ekuti vanhu vari kuberekana, then people start to do it and it becomes like a trend. Everyone is doing it, and you even normalize it to make it seem as if it's real. You know, like, it is real, but it's still a crime. Crime is crime, and there's consequences to crimes, and especially in every country. But here the rule of law is yeah, you know, like you can't even, you have to and the other thing is doesn't forget. You know, you can think you've gotten away with something, but not zoka. So nyaye kuberekana ika, inyaya iri dangerous and iri serious. Because unenga wanyepa pakuchat. Unenga wanyepa paku fill in visa application form. Right? And then wanyepa waita then obatwa, things happen, right? Then you who has done it and the person who has been erekat mese muri too much. Mama mudambudziko. And dambudziko racho is, you know, when you fill in my visa forms, at the bottom, if you say something which is you're committing an immigration offense. So an immigration offense is an offense in order kusungisa kutunopitopinda mjere. Because if you guys see how in this country, if you see how the politicians talk about immigration, Suella Braverman, she said that it is a hurricane, right? She said it's a hurricane. 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 So nyasha, kuberekana is where people go into a false marriage of convenience. So somebody has got a visa to come here as a skilled worker, and then they're single. So somebody comes on their back to be berekwad. So they are now a spouse, but they're not really a spouse, because they are, you know, there's a story that came out in The Guardian about a woman from, I think, India or Sri Lanka, that when she was actually given a husband and children who were not hers. So when she arrived here, she was told by immigration that you have dependents who she didn't know. So there's some people who are innocent, right? So this is not something that, it's not like Trukufumura or we're talking. No, it's already been out. It's reported in newspapers. It's already out. So now, when people are desperate to do that, and then the consequences are so dire, right? Because if you, one, you might not find the person, so you can never get divorced from them. Two, if you die and there's a person who's married to you, who's not your spouse, and you've accumulated your wealth, you know, they can legally, they can claim everything. They can claim what they feel is theirs as a spouse. Somebody spoke there about the spiritual. Tapiwa, you spoke about the spiritual ambudziko. That's a whole nother story, isn't it? So you could find yourself, one, it's illegal. Two, you're spiritually binding yourself to someone. Three, lawfully, you can end up with that person inheriting everything if you die. And you could actually have your own spouse kumbao with your children. And this person will say, no, I'm the one on the marriage certificate. So you must be very careful. And the thing is that kunokuanita authentication a lot. So even on extending, even on applying for indefinite, apana mosha is na rovi. There's no crime that just disappears, because sometimes it will come out, and I've seen it. It's not anything new. There used to be ancestry visas where there were things that happened. Who remembers ancestry? For those who have been here a long time ago, ancestry. 2004 to 2008, everybody was doing my applications. Claim out my ancestry visas. And then that Savannah Sekuru British, that they've got a British grandfather. So that was something. And we then had to now deal with the fallout of that. Because people's visas were revoked, cancelled. You know, I had one person who was about to get their British citizen. Then it came out that they had made false representations before. So they refused the visa application. So I know that we normalize things, and maybe people are desperate, people will try and find a way, but please, I beg you, be very, very careful. And just don't normalize these things, because it will come back to haunt you. We'll be there to represent you. We'll be there to help. We'll be there. But at least now, we're warning you. We're warning you, please don't do it. Don't be tempted. Don't normalize things that are not normal. Don't normalize crime. Don't normalize crime. The system here works. The system works. The system works. And so because the system works, things catch up to you. And I know people are looking for COSs, people are looking for ways and shortcuts and things like that. And what I've said before, and I'll say it again and again and again and again and again, of course, apply for the care visas. But if you cannot find one, and then whilst you're waiting, there's people who are spending so much money on like COSs with no hours. They're coming here, they're destitute, and you spend thousands and thousands. Nursing, like, or you use that money to do a master's for somebody who's already got a degree. There's some people, like a year ago, I remember saying to them, why didn't you do a social work master's? Now they're coming here as a social worker, recruited by local authorities. A relocation package. Like, they are coming in a better way that's more secure. Because they were patient and they did what they needed to do. There's warehouse visas, construction, builders. So there's so many ways. You don't have to enter into these arrangements with people. You don't have to buy things that are illegal, because when you come here, this country is painful when you don't have work and you don't have money and you don't have recourse to public funds. It's coming into winter. People are sleeping in their cars. People are sleeping on the street. People are suffering. If you don't have a relative, if you don't have friends, if you don't have someone, you will really struggle. So if you come knowing, this is what I'm entering into, but you don't have anyone who's going to support you when you're here, it will end up being a real crisis. People are having mental health breakdowns. People are suicidal. People are dying. So it's not easy. And it's something where you should just, you've got information, access to information. There is so much information that is available for those who are not here yet. You know, so you might not find that route that others found, but you can find other ways to come. You can enhance your skills. You can do what you need to do so that you position yourself to be able to migrate. If you can get 10,000 pounds to take a COS Risnama hours, why don't you use that money to education with a patient, right? Then you come as a person who is in another skill. Or you can come as a warehouse worker. There's somebody who's advertising warehouse, a butcher. Another one, but this one is scary, mortician. I ever know when people die and you dress the people, there's a shortage of morticians. There's a course you can do. Butchers. All of those are jobs that are available. Construction. So don't limit yourselves and don't become too desperate, because it's not good. Because if you are desperate and you do something that is desperate, out of desperation, you're putting yourself at risk and you're putting the person who you have brought at risk. And then you're blocked from applying for your real children and your real wife. And then there's a breakdown in marriages. So these are things which are so important. And, you know, some people will say, you don't understand, you don't understand, you don't understand. But we do understand, and we know how difficult it can be. And so we're trying to help people to prevent it. My issues are not so and it will affect everybody. You know, we can think we're clever, we can think and but these things come back to bite us. So and so I'm just saying, let us please not normalize crime and do that. Then we'll go on to the next one. Is we are people who have come. I'm mindful that there's people from Malawi, there's people from Nigeria, there's people who don't speak Shona. So as much as I want to speak in Shona all the time, because we work with migrants, we work with people from different countries. And so this information is not just for people from Zimbabwe. So the people who are doing this is not just Zimbabwe, it's people from India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Eritrea, Nigeria. So that's why I speak in a common language, because because it's not something that just affects us, right? So me, I'm Zimbabwean, but the whole world is not Zimbabwe. So yes, I wanted to talk about when relationships break down. So there's relationships which were not working. And you know, I think people in marriage everywhere it's a journey. That's why, like my husband and I, we're passionate about empowering people in marriage, because we know how difficult it is. We've been through the worst, and for us to be standing here, for those who follow my page, you might have seen me celebrating 25 years in marriage. I'm proud of myself, because Gamba in that area. For me, that's an achievement, man. Getting married when I was 22, that wasn't an achievement. But staying married until I'm 25, don't need another certificate, because I think we've been through it. We've been through the fire, through the water. But we thank God. So we're Christians. Not everyone's a Christian. That's our belief. And we believe that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. And for us, and that is what has sustained us. And that was what has helped us. So we always seek to empower other people. And so I know that marriage is hard in Zimbabwe. Marriage is hard in England. Marriage is hard in wherever you are. There's so many challenges. So when people come here now, and your new arrivals, we are getting so many inquiries from people who are saying, I want to take them off my visa. What can I do? I want to send them back to Zimbabwe. And then we find out, okay, what is the problem? And I think it's so important to understand what is the problem before you advise people to take people off visas, because that is, why do we have to just take, you know, the visa, I always say this, is a piece of paper, right? You have a family, you have a husband and a wife and children. Your family didn't know about visas a year ago. So why has this now come into the equation? Yekuti, I want to remove them from my visa. It's now become something that is in between people. It's now become another problem, because there's this piece of paper now, chavapakati pevano. So I ask and I say, what is the problem? Because that's the issue. The visa is not the issue. The issue is what is wrong in your relationship. What is it? So before we go to remove each other, because it's so easy. So the type of issues we have is, one, I've removed them. I've removed them. And after I've removed them, now tazozokerana, how do I add them back? Or they had a visa to come and I wrote to the Home Office, this person, I don't want them to come. Now I want them to come. So number one, don't act out of emotions. To rush to go onto the Home Office website and to cancel your spouse's visa, your husband or your wife. Don't rush to do that, because there's consequences to that. Try and resolve your differences. If there is domestic violence and you are being, either way, you know, if there's domestic abuse and domestic violence, you're calling in the police, social services is involved, then it becomes a safeguarding issue. And so where there's a safeguarding issue, then you need to separate. Because if you are at risk, if the children are at risk, if there's control and coercion and there is financial abuse, not just physical violence. So where there's domestic abuse, that is a different issue, isn't it? And so you may need to then separate. And, you know, there are people who are already in prison. You know, there's people who have come and, like I said, the system works. So maybe when you were in your own country, you used to beat your wife and you used to get away with it, or you used to beat your husband. But now it's different. You can't go and beat the side chick and thunder her, because you go to prison and you lose your visa. So it doesn't matter if she's having an affair with your husband. No one is going to side with you because you've decided to use jungle justice. No, you can't. You know, you will get arrested. And so that is the reality, that if you go and assault GBH and assault someone and really hit them and record it for good measure, then the police will be called and you will be arrested. No one is going to talk about morality. No one is going to talk about, oh, but she was doing this. It's going to be a criminal offense for assault. So what is the issue? So if there's different issues. So if the issue is there's violence and all of this, then you separate. But once you separate, if you are the victim, you don't have the same rights as someone who's a spouse of someone with indefinite leave to remain. And I want to make that clear. I think maybe I might even stop there for today, because this point is one that I want to hammer home, because some people are mixing up the laws. So where your spouse kaane indefinite leave to remain, British citizen, refugee status, where you've got a spouse who has got a permanent right to remain in the UK, and you come here on a spouse visa, that person, if there is domestic violence, they can go and apply for the under the domestic violence concession. They're given access to public funds, so that they can either go to a refuge or they can find accommodation. They're given benefits. They're supported. Then they can apply for indefinite leave to remain. So that is for somebody who's married to somebody who's on a spouse visa. But if you're married to someone who's a student, if you're married to someone who's a skilled worker, who's on a limited leave to remain here, then you don't have those same rights. So your situation is different. And you need to get advice before you go and make the wrong application form or you take the wrong action. So the best thing to do is to switch onto your own visa, if you are able to do that. switch onto your own visa because you can, and there's so many jobs available. So it's easier for you to leave that relationship and then to switch into your own visa category by yourself, where you're working by yourself. That is the best course of action to take. Or if you decide, you know what, this situation is not for me, you can even go back to your country of origin, and then you come back on another visa yourself. So you don't have an automatic right to stay because of domestic abuse where your spouse is on a student visa, on a work visa. So you must know that, so that you don't put yourself into jeopardy by creating, some people will create false narratives in order to thinking that they can get something, but it's not going to work. So if you're feeling that it's not working for you and you're at risk, then remove yourself from that situation, but then look at your alternatives as what you can do. You can also then remove that person from your visa so that they can see their options. But removing them from your visa doesn't mean they're going to go back to where to their country of origin. It just means that they're given time to find another visa. But if they have a criminal conviction, then it's different, because if they've got a criminal conviction, then they can also be deported. They can go from prison to the charter flight back home. So that is very different. Thank you, Muranda Kadzi, for your request to be added on. I don't add people onto my visas, onto my lives, unfortunately. Yeah, just for my own reasons, to protect myself. So I don't. It's better I say what I say, me, and because sometimes it can end up, you know, yeah. Anyway, so thank you for that, but I will explain to you in your inbox why not, because I just don't add anyone that I don't know, or I don't know what they're going to say, because it can end up being a risk for me. Because I'm a solicitor, whatever I say online, it can end up affecting me and my profession. So I've learned my lesson. I don't put people on my lives who I don't know. So you'll see me with my children or my husband. I know what they're saying. So I know what they're going to say. So yeah. So yes. So that is I was talking about domestic abuse, and then I've had so please be careful. You can ask in the chat, my dear, and then I can definitely I can answer that question. So I'm just going to answer some of the questions in the chat before I finish. My nephew got a BRP 2020 and expiring 2024 December. So what happens next? For your nephew, so you know how like right to work checks and everything is online now. So all of the BRPs are going online. So from December 2024, nobody's going to have a BRP. So all the information will be online. When you're traveling, they'll put your name, date of birth, your visa status will come up. So, you know, we get the share codes for the like right to work. So that's what's going to happen with your right to remain, your leave to remain. It's all going to be electronic. And that will now help the Home Office to protect the integrity of the system, because people can do mdosho and people can do like fake BRPs, fake this. So now the system is going to be standardized. It's all going to be online and digital. So that's the plan, Honey Smith. So that's why your nephew, he doesn't have to worry about that. Yeah, there was somebody who asked about a 22-year-old with mental health issues. It just depends on the severity of the mental health. It depends on the situation. So over 18 visas, it starts from a refusal, but then it starts with a refusal if they're over 18, unless there's exceptional circumstances. So it depends on the circumstances. It depends on the circumstances. So please, you may need to get advice so that we understand. So it depends on the severity of the mental illness. Does it affect your child? It depends on what your visa is. How does it affect your child? So all of that information is really important. So that's key. Kathy, you'd asked, why are those in asylum be given those 5 years to work now? Why are those in asylum not? I think, did you say not? it would be great to give them permission to work, isn't it? Who are waiting. But what they say is, if they're given all of them like 5 years to work and things like that, it will cause other people. Already there's a problem of people coming in every day. Suella Braverman, she said it's a hurricane. So imagine that hurricane, what it will become. So when people know that we come in, we claim asylum, we're given the right to work, who's going to apply for a skilled worker? Everybody's going to come. So they're saying it will open up the floodgates. So they do it to protect the integrity of the immigration system. Because they've got to protect it, you know. If they open up the borders and say everybody can come, as much as I'm an immigration lawyer, I work in third sector, I wouldn't agree with that, because it's a stretch on public services. It's a stretch on NHS. It's how many billions are you paying? So all of that is it's an issue. We'll send some of the links for morticians, for builders, for construction workers. If you look on the Tulia website, we'll send some. Yeah. Mambo, if they stay out of the UK for more than 180 days, then it does affect their visa, because they, especially on applying for settlement and even on extension. So, but they have the exceptions. So it's not a mandatory. So some people have to go for employment. Some people have to go for different things where they have to travel, because that's where they have their job. So there's exceptions to everything. So I'll do a post about absences, because it's not a straightforward answer that I can give you. Right. And I think I do have to go because it's I will answer some of the other questions in the chat. Otherwise, please visit our website, which is www.tulia.org.uk. Check out our blogs. Check out our YouTube channel for more and more older lives, answering a lot of questions. And I will answer some of the other questions with blog posts, some of the ones that were there. So yeah, so thank you so much, and I will answer those. Be blessed and have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for joining this morning. And yeah, we'll come back and answer some of them as posts, or go onto our website, Chihoro. Check out the live I did last week about single moms. Yeah, it might have some of the answers to your questions. Thank you so much, and everyone have a sunny, enjoy the sun, the last of the sun for this year. It's going to be a sunny weekend. Take care. God bless you. Bye.